Welcome to Book Study, Week 4, Chapters 7 and 8. We're so excited to do this because today in the morning, as I was recapping a little bit, me and Paige are going to be sharing today. I was like, ooh, these chapters are short, but there is so much in them. So a lot to chew on, and we want your guys' input as well. So Chapter 7, Attracting Leaders. Isn't this what we all want in this business? We want to attract people, and technically people that are better than ourselves even, right? People with good leadership skills and abilities, and people that are able to bring other people into their best selves as well. So leadership is the ability to guide others without force into a direction or decision that leaves them still feeling empowered and accomplished. It's a really good explanation. Lisa Cash Hansen said it well. And then we shift a little bit and we say, oh, but wait, attracting leaders is 100% about you. 100%, like not even just a little bit or almost all, but 100% about you. It's not about your products, your services, your business opportunity. People buy you. And this is something we talk about so often, right? We talk about how we show up on social media for others, how we share who we are, how authenticity and your identity is such a big piece of all of this. And we also fall into the whole of I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, why is this not working? Right? And we fall into the whole, I don't know if this is for me. And then we start pulling back. And actually, that is just a reflection of where we ourselves need to be growing. We just need to grow and develop ourselves a little bit more in order to attract people to want what we have. So the more attractive you are, the more magnetic you are, the more people are going to be drawn to you. And now I think there's a level of misunderstanding that can come with this, because we think that we have to be something that we aren't already, which is wrong. You have to be fully and wholly who you already are. And that means accepting everything about yourself, showing up to be your best self, being authentic, right? Not hiding to be or pretending to be something that you're not, or hiding certain pieces. And so people buy your energy. Amber Miller did an amazing piece in Maui on how she had built another Emerald team in the last year. And she talked about this was more peer-to-peer. And she talked a little bit about how your energy is going to be the prime ingredient. Prime ingredient. If you are not showing up with an excitement and an energy that draws people in, that makes them feel like they are missing out, they're going to scroll on by. There's so many distractions online that if you don't stand out being who you are and being strong and confident in who you are, it's so easy for people to just scroll on by, right? You have to be fully and wholly who you are. So that really stood out to me. And
I
then
have a
go
I
ahead.
have a story. I'm such a story person, and how I relate to how I like learn and then relate to everything. So this is the story I was thinking of. And so some time ago, actually 4 years ago, I was a high fitness instructor. And as an instructor, so when I read this quote, it says leadership is the ability to guide others without force into a direction or decision that leaves them still feeling empowered and accomplished. And so as a fitness instructor, you're at the front of the class, but you get to show the options. You know what level that you are going to exercise at as an instructor, but you also have to show all the levels. So if you're not going to do a tuck jump, you're going to do a jumping jack. And if you're not going to do a burpee, you're going to do a squat, right? But you, as the leader, like you get to show the different things. And I've often, like being here in Okotoks, like I've looked for different instructors. And there are some that are, like, hey, welcome to my class, we're gonna get started. And it's kind of like wah wah. And it's like, what the what? Like, I don't want to be here if that's not very fun. But then you have like the reason I would wake up at 5 a.m. to go to a high fitness class was because of this one instructor. She doesn't teach anymore, and it breaks my heart. But she was the one, she played all the loud, big bass type music that thinks you are like the baddest mother out there. And, and she did all of that. And you felt so good about it. You're like, I'm strong and I'm doing all the tech jumps. And even though she invited you to squat or she invited you to do a jumping jack, she also inspired you, not through anything but her actions, to do a burpee, to do all the burpees. If there's 18 burpees in a row and you did all of them. And like that was when I think of leadership, I think of her. I think of a high fitness class. And I think of you are there as the leader and people will join you if you're a cool instructor, basically, right? Like and if
That's
there's lots of instructors, but you
and
find the people that jive with you.
it's a really good place to experience that, because obviously her energy, right, was magnetic and it was attractive. And it was like, and I know exactly what you mean. Like for years we did like Zumba or aerobics classes, and we would show up and it was a gym full of women, and just being in a room full of women that are all doing the same thing makes you work a little bit harder, makes you push a little bit more, makes you say, I can do one more. Whereas if you would be alone, you'd be like, I'm done. That accountability draw that from the leader, right? And yeah, that's such a good example. Okay, and so then that takes us into questions that every prospect asks, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. You guys are going to talk about this a little bit too, because I feel like this is different for everybody, because it's pertaining to how you see yourself, right? Okay, 2 questions will go through the mind of every prospect you come across. Does Shelly here have the ability to help me achieve my goals? People ask that. People think that of us. When they join us, they wonder, is Marge really going to help me? Like, is that actually going to work? Is she going to help me achieve my goals? People think that, right? The next question is, can I do this? Because why? Because if you, the leader, speak belief and pour belief into that person, then they're going to start saying, can I do this? She says I can. One leads to the other, right? And so this is again of where the more magnetic you are, the more you believe in yourself, the more you know where you're going, the clearer your vision and your dream, and the more your prospect will know that you have the ability to help her to get where she wants to go. Tell me a little bit of the thoughts that come to your mind when you think about your team asking, does Barb, Paige, Stacy, Kelly, Sheila have the ability to help me achieve my goals? How does that feel?
Well, for me, it feels heavy because I know I've made lots of mistakes. And I feel like I did this leadership course thing, and how I was pegged, I forget, there was a particular name for it, but if I'm in a surrounding and someone else steps up and I agree with what they're doing, I'm very, very happy to follow. But if no one steps up, then I'll lead. And really what a leader is just stepping up where no one else will, right? I don't necessarily love it, but there's a piece I'm drawn to and I can do it. But this job is very different than anything I've ever done. So I know I haven't led well. So when I read that, sometimes I go, I've made mistakes, I've done this. Some of the people that started and quit, what will they think? And the people that are still there, like I just have a lot of the questions. And then when you question it, you question your next step, right? So for me, it's been a process of humility and just accepting that some people might not get me. I've apologized a few times where I've needed to. There's probably more of that in the future. And I just have to remind myself, it's like parenting. You're not going to do it perfectly. And you might have to apologize to your kids along the way, but together you can create the path. And so that is not a cohesive thought, but those are the things that come up for me.
Very, very, very good, because it honestly is about humbling yourself. Anybody else?
Could you just re-ask that question?
What did I ask? How does that make you feel? If you think that someone is thinking, does Kelly have the ability to help me achieve my goals? How does that make you feel? What comes up when you think those thoughts? Like, it's very easy to fall into doubt and unbelief about yourself as soon as you hear that someone is depending on you. And then exactly what Shelley said, oh, but I haven't done things right. Oh, I have failed here and here and here. Maybe I haven't led well there, right? Those are all the pieces that are going to automatically come up. But what about all the things that you've done right?
So for me, it can very easily bring up feelings of inadequacy, especially as somebody that tends to lean towards the perfectionist side of things, because, oh, I have to make sure I do it all right. No, you don't. You don't need to make sure you do it all right, because if you do it all right, then you will not be helping them achieve their goals. You won't, because they're going to look at you and be like, that is completely unattainable. It's unattainable. So it is necessary for us to make mistakes, humble ourselves, go back and ask for forgiveness, because that shows what a true leader is. Those mistakes, those dips, those stumbles, those are necessary. They are not a bad thing. They are a good thing. They show your true character and they show that you truly care. Nobody's ever going to get it all perfect. I like how Shelley said it. It is like parenting. But you also get to just think of it this way, like, you're not going to get it all perfect. You don't want to get it all perfect. You just get to do your best. You just get to do your best. And the rest, I will be there in a minute. Never fails. When I talk, she's sitting on the toilet.
And sometimes your best is not going to feel like it is your best, but that's what you can do at that point in time. And then you know that you yourself can grow as well, right? Anybody else have some thoughts on this?
I think that it also helps them to see that they don't have to be perfect and that they can duplicate. Like, that's part of duplicating, right? And I was going to say a lot of exactly what Sheila did. And, but I think that is a big point too, where they need to be able to see that it's duplicatable. And even if they make mistakes, it's okay. And that they can do the same thing.
Absolutely. Being relatable is probably going to be your superpower, right? And not being relatable and, oh, look, I flunked this, but who cares? But more so in being relatable, like, this was really hard for me to push through, but I did it. And this is where I landed. It's not perfect, but you know, I landed here. Next time I'm going to land higher, right? Like, showing people that you're pushing through to becoming your best inspires them.
I think one of the things I struggle with most about that is stepping up and doing even just the little things, and them seeing me not do it perfectly. I think even though I've come a long way in not caring what other people think, when it comes to my team, because they have been with me for so long, I'm scared, like crapless, seriously. But I know I need to step it up and just show them who I am, how much I care, and then the duplication will happen wherever it happens.
It's a very interesting point that you bring up, Barb, because I remember clearly on certain situations of where I was doing something in leadership for the whole team, and there was certain leaders that were leading with me that were not in favor, and they didn't want to push through even though it was hard, right? And there's a lot of critiquing that came from that. There's something about getting criticism from the general audience, but it's a whole new level when it's criticism from your team, that you really have to see that as a leader, your team's fears are going to be projected onto you. If your team is fearing something, they're going to be like, oh, this isn't really a good idea. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Or, you know, like things like that. And it can really cause you to stumble unless you say, hey, guess what? I really think that we can do this. Let's push through. Let's make the best of it. Let's run. And then if it turns out, look at what you did. You broke through that barrier to help them to come along as well, right? And so you also have to be the leader that is pushing through the unbelief for the team. And so that's a really good point. Yeah, second guessing can really just cause you to just miss out. Just miss out, right? All right. The next question is their question of, can I do this? Because they're showing up with all their unbelief, all their self-doubt, all their feelings of inadequacies, and all their, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that. This makes me feel gross. All those things. That's what they're going to show up. Your job in this piece is building their belief. You are the belief speaker to them, right? And I feel like often, I feel like I fall short on this because in my thoughts, I see people on my team and I'm like, oh, she's so good at that. Like she'll do amazing, but I don't tell them that. I need to be more verbal about telling them that, right? Because we all need someone to believe in us. And it's amazing what the power of someone else's belief will do to get you into action. And so if you feel like your team isn't moving, or if you feel like, oh, like we really need to be doing more, speak belief, because that's fuel in their tank, right? And he talks about whenever I talk to a prospect, I can highlight qualities, just like I said, I see in him and how those qualities will contribute to his success in his business. If he knows you have the ability to help him achieve his goals and believe he can do it, you've empowered him to succeed. Paige, did you have anything on this?
Just thinking, Barb, your example is still rolling in my head. And you know, my thoughts immediately went to, because you've been the leader for so long and those people have been with you for so long, my immediate thought was, well, of course they would follow you. Of course they would. I mean, maybe some wouldn't, but I automatically just thought, of course they would think, well, I can do this. Barb's been doing this for so long. I can do this because she's already led the way. Do you know? That was my immediate thought on that. But it's true. If you show your ability, just your ability, your experience, like there is so much value in experience, like ability, experience, how you have gone through it. There's so much value there. And it's because you went first. Like you literally just said yes first. And that's it. And because you have the experience, what was it? Oh, there's a quote. It's like, wise people learn from their own experiences. Super wise people learn from other experiences. Be a super wise person, you know, and learn from the people ahead of you. So anyway, I think experience alone speaks volumes for
Linda
somebody, for someone saying, can I do this? Like that's what I honestly, I rely every day. I have thought, well, she's doing it and she's not perfect and she goofs up on her stories and she talks like this and I talk like this and I think, sure, why couldn't I do it? Someone's got to be friends with me.
They all want to be friends with you.
Right.
Melinda added a really good point there. And if they've been there for so long, they're still there. Like there's a lot of loyalty in that. There's a lot of consistency in that, right? It's really good. Okay, let's go into a period of imbalance. I think there's multiple sides to this piece, and me and Paige talked about this a little bit. And I want you to come into this piece very open-minded, depending on what your dreams and your goals are. Okay, because this is going to be a stumbling block for some, but it'll also be a massive inspiration for others. So he talks about a period of imbalance. I'm going to briefly go over it, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we choose in this piece. Attracting leaders requires an enormous energy. It does. You really, really want to put yourself out there and be very, very verbal at attracting people. Making a real run at your network marketing business takes massive imbalance up front. It needs to become an obsession, the only thing you think about for a period of time. The best way for me to describe this is by sharing how it was for me in the beginning. And then he goes on to talk about how he decided to build this and he stopped watching TV and he let go of everything else in his life besides family and this business. And that's all he focused on for an entire year. Okay. He stopped going out with friends, stopped spending time with extended family, except for holidays. He was obsessed with his business because it was my burning obsession, because it had to be. His why was so terribly big that it had to be, right? To succeed at the highest levels in our industry, you first have to get the boulder over the hill. You've all seen the graphic. It's the little guy at the bottom of the hill holding up that massive rock and pushing and pushing and pushing, and it gets so heavy. What happens when you let go of that rock? You go backwards. Because why? Because in the beginning of this business, you are the one that is doing all the heavy lifting. You are the one that is showing other people, this is what we can do. Come help me push this boulder over the hill. You can come push this as well. Many hands make light work. We get to the top, momentum rolls. And that's where your residual income comes in, right? Okay, so when you attract other leaders and they start building their business, eventually your business thrives with or without you. That is your goal. Now, if we look at this from an employee point of view and we say, I can't do that. I have to have some off time. I have to be like, I have to go out and I have to watch TV and decompress. That's totally good. If that is not your ultimate focus to build this and build it hard and fast, or to build it strong, that you really want this to be your primary income, you can do those other things. It's fine. It'll just take longer to do this, right? If you're mediocre, you're going to get a mediocre result. If you've made the decision to go all in and say, this is going to be our life and it'll be our primary income, this is how we're achieving our goals, then you're going to have to give a little bit more. You're going to have a CEO mindset, and you're going to have to be the business owner that says, okay, I'm cutting out the fluff. I am cutting out the fluff, right? And so I saw Eva do this when they first started, and I was still working, and I was, having my own thoughts about this whole scenario of, they went all in. This is what they were doing for a whole year to build this business. And honestly, as me just barely starting to share, not knowing network marketing back in 2014, and just, the situation that we were in, I didn't see the value of what they were doing. I didn't see the value. Do you know how many times in the past 10 years I have said to myself, had I seen the value, had I done what she did, how much faster I could have gone? And so the decision is yours. It's not that you have to do the fast route. It's that it will build stronger and better if you do. The less time you spend by yourself pushing that rock up the hill, the more time you will have pushing it downhill with more people. Because you're never meant to do this business alone. You're meant to do this business with other people who want what you have, right? And so I don't want to be, yes, you don't know what you don't know, and it's definitely part of my story. It was part of learning what this opportunity was and all those things, right? But you don't want to be, I don't want to give you the mindset thinking that, oh, you have to do just Plexus because that's what you want. You said this is your goal. No, the choice is yours. You get to feed which one you feel is going to grow the most, right? And so how you decide to build this is how you also will achieve the results of what you want, right? And so, where's my train of thought on that? The period of imbalance. So once I started building and I saw, okay, John's watching TV at night in bed, kids are in bed. Am I just going to lie here and watch TV? Or could I use this time to be productive? And I would nail out 20, 30 messages in that time that he was having his downtime, right? Coffee break at my work. I could sit there, participate in office gossip, or I could quickly follow up on what the trainings were on the day. I could quickly watch a short, 10, 15 minute video and learn something, quickly make notes of what I wanted to do in the evening. I could quickly go see who had all messaged me, who needed some follow-up. You can pick the pieces of how you want to build this. Or I could go and leave my phone inside and, go outside and be with my family and not pay attention at all. You get to choose that depending on your outcome. I wanted out of my job. I wanted John to have more time at home, and I wanted this to be our full-time income. And that's what we were together focusing on, right? And I don't know how to say this, but I really feel like the choice will reflect on your outcome. And that's okay too. That's okay too. You have to be okay with your choices. If you don't like your choices, then you get to participate in that period of imbalance and really, really go all in and grow this. What's your thoughts on that? I want to hear more on what you guys are thinking on that. Shelley, I want to hear a little bit on, because I know that I remember you having thoughts about this. I remember you thinking it didn't have, you could still do it all.
Right,
I
right.
was
And I,
in that mindset too. Like, I'll just do it all, right?
yeah, and I think part of it was because, like, I don't know, like I didn't waste time. I didn't watch TV in the evenings. We've never had that option, right? We don't like have a functional TV. It's just DVDs, that's it. So I've never wasted time like that. And so I was like, well, this is dumb that they're doing all this stuff. But I think also in the beginning, you have to remember, I wasn't on social media. And so I would like do a post and everything else was so overwhelming. I would do a post and be like, okay, I'm going to talk to like one person and send a message. I didn't have a team. So then that took me 5 minutes, right? So then I was like, what are these women doing? Like, I didn't get it. So because I didn't get it, I judged it because I'm like, what are they doing? Just sitting randomly spamming people. And then at some point I was like, oh, you need to make new friends and you need to do this and you need to do this. And right. And so in the beginning, it's like, I'm doing this for time freedom. And now they're telling me on a Sunday night, I should be doing work. The last day of the month meant nothing to me. And I just thought it was ridiculous. I'm like, you guys are all like, oh, I got to do this, but you say family's important. I didn't get it. And then I was like, oh, you have to earn the time freedom. I get it. Right. So it's just, and I think we can't get mad when people have that mindset because it's very, very new. It's hard to be your own boss. And I think if you don't know, you're like, well, I did a post, I talked to the only 3 people I can talk to. Now I have nothing left to do. You don't realize the scope of it, which is why everyone's here, right? So it's just a process. And I think if we're honest, a lot of people have, if you've never done this, a lot of people probably have a version of this, maybe not my exact judgmental version, but a version, right?
And as your dreams and your belief grows, your, like you said, like, oh, all of a sudden you realized you have to earn time freedom. Yes. Paige had a really good, what was that you said before?
Did any of you watch Wendy Larson, that's her name,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Wendy Larson's video that Marge popped into the group yesterday. I was folding like a bajillion loads of laundry and I was watching it and she went through the 10 myth busting or 10 whatevers of
Yes.
network marketing. I'm totally wrecking this. Anyway, it's fine. And then she got to, I think it was like number 5 or 6. And she said, you cannot freedom your way to freedom. Like you cannot, like you're running a deficit. You can't, oh, I'll just take it here and I'll take it here and I'll take it here. But can your business and your goals, like if you're really not where you want to go, and I'm not judging because I mean, we all have some kind of form of drama between our ears of how we're working our business. There just is. But she said, you can't take the freedom if you don't have freedom to take, right? You can't freedom your way to time freedom when you don't have it. You don't have it. So
When
I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Very good. That was a really good call. Like I
Mhm.
needed some of those reminders. When I was building towards diamond, a very common phrase from higher ranks would be, don't use diamond freedom until you have actually earned it. Don't use your diamond freedom until you've actually earned it, right? And that just basically meant that if that's your goal and you want to achieve that, it's not the one all be all. It's not like you're going to arrive, but you're training yourself in order to build what you want to achieve. You're not going to, that's like an athlete showing up and saying, I'm going to run 10 kilometers today, but he's never ran more than 1. You're not going to achieve it. You first have to train yourself to get there, right? And then that next piece in the book where he talks about during this period of imbalance, set your soul on fire. The story of like the fire, and if there was something in the fire that really, really meant something to you, you would do everything to get in there, right? Nobody is going to stop you from getting into that burning house, and nothing is going to hold you back because your family is inside of that house. You run up there risking your life. Nothing else matters in this moment. Nothing is going to stand in your way of getting into that house and rescuing your family. So when you start going after your dreams like you would go after your family in that burning house with that energy, that's when you start attracting people into this business. Many of us need to move through the energy level of seeing a house on fire and saying, oh, bomber, to the intensity of saving your family. And so if you think about that and you think, well, the house is burning, but I really don't care if there's somebody in there. I'm just going to watch my show and I'm just going to be puttering in my garden. You might not get far, right? It has to be your dream and it has to be your desire. And I think that's the bottom line of what he's trying to show us here, that if it doesn't mean much to you, you're not going to achieve it. You might cut out certain things and show up for your business a little bit, but if it's not truly something that you really, really desire, you're not going to be able to put in that energy, and people will feel that, right? You're running a deficit. And then
like what he says, oh, can
Go
I,
ahead.
sorry, quick, real fast, sorry. I like what he says, many of us need to move through the energy,
Yes.
right? Like, it's not like you're going from bummer to I'm full throttle, right? Like the runner, right? When you are running, your capacity, your ability to run 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 4, 7, like you have to build that. So I feel like the building is the same as the energy level. You don't go from 0 to I'm cutting my everything in my life cold turkey so that I can only do this business. Like there, you build the capacity for it. And it looks totally different for all of us in this, on this Zoom, for all of us in this business. It looks completely different. And so when we might have drama between our ears about like, well, I'm not building like she is, and my time is different than hers. And like, you really, this is, I think, a topic that you really cannot compare. Like, it is so personal and individual. Only you know your energy, you know your schedule, you know your everything. And so as you move through the energy, just as long as you're moving through it, if you know your end goal and you're moving through and working through the goals and the energy to get to your final goal.
That makes
Yes,
much
yeah.
sense.
Your child grows, and as you add more children, your capacity for what you can handle. Yeah, I mean, right? Seriously. I mean, thank goodness ours came one at a time. Like, I feel kind of blown away by those people who have twins, right? But whew.
There's so many things that we can relate to parenting in this business. All right,
all
let's talk a little bit how we get our mindsets right. That's always the piece. That's always the piece, right? How I got my mind right. I like how he explains of what he did, because many people will talk about mindset but not really talk about what they actually did, right? And so for him, this is very disciplined. This is very, I read this again this morning and I thought, man, that's very disciplined. But you know what is your biggest drawback from not achieving your goals? It's actually not the time. It's not even the skills. It's not anything that you're missing. It's distractions. It's distractions. There's a million distractions in life that will pop up like that. Your phone rings. Your dog does something shitty outside. Your husband calls you, can you give me a hand? There's a million distractions in life that are going to pull you away from your mindset and being disciplined. And if you don't set the tone in your own brain, it'll cost you your time and your energy. Because by the time you come back and you sit down, you were like, where was I? What was I thinking? What did I even want to do? And when you left, when that distraction hit, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. So the fact that he's really disciplined on getting his morning routine correct convicted me a little bit, because I'm guilty for that. I'll get up and I'll just respond to the morning, or react, not respond. I'll react to the morning, whatever's happening. But what if there was discipline, like he said? First thing in the morning, I walked to an altar space I had set up to make a prayer of gratitude for 2 things. the 10 people I was going to be able to talk about this business today, and the 2 people who were actually going to sit down and go through a business presentation with me. He was 1,000% focused on getting business builders. And I find it so interesting that never in this book does he talk about his company and what they were actually selling. He was selling the business and the life that comes with the freedom of having this business. And that's a whole new game, getting your mind there, comparable to just selling products, right? And so then I went through my day seeking those opportunities. All day, my mind, heart, and energy, my whole being was looking for those people I could talk to. So if that's your focus and you're writing it down and you're scrolling and you're talking to this friend online, you're talking to that friend online, and every time you open a conversation, you're thinking, how can I help this person? Would she be a good business partner for me? It's a whole new mindset, right? And then he was excited to encounter those 2 people who would sit down with him, right? If I started to lose my energy, this is where the distraction hits. If I started to lose my energy and excitement, I used to bounce up and down doing this little dance, saying to myself, funk, 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 get out of that funk. I mean, like, what happens when you turn on a loud song that you really like? Boom, your energy goes up, right? You create a different vibe. You create new energy and it gets you moving. It gets your brain pumping more, right? And I would do my no rhythm white man body bop to get back into the energy. It's a good visual because what do we do when we get in a funk? Oh, I'm just going to scroll a little bit. Oh, I'm just going to look outside a little bit. Oh, and all of a sudden you find yourself, you've been reading this weird recipe online that you're never going to make ever in no man's land. And you've wasted how much time because you lost your energy. You were distracted. It's distractions that will cost you your energy. And I think the more I'm starting to realize this, the more I understand that the self-discipline is the most important piece, right? And so, yeah, and then you go clean one room, and then you find something in that room, and then you go into the next room. Oh, I was going to do this, and before you know it, you're cooking something here. Oh, my pantry's dirty, and then you're cleaning that. Guys, we're so well known for this. Like, we just rabbit trail from one thing to another. And then what costs you your time? Your distractions. I have no cameras in anyone's house, just speaking from myself. It's crazy how we do this. And I love how he brings you back to back in the energy of my morning prayer of gratitude. Okay, first of all, if you're in a spirit of gratitude, you cannot be negative. Being grateful and being in a grateful energy, you cannot be in a negative energy while you are being grateful. Why is he speaking about gratitude? Because that's what brings you good energy. So focus on the gratitude, right? There's always something good to be grateful about. And then the whole mantra of I can, I will, I am. I can, I will, I am. If you catch yourself being, oh, she's not responded. Oh, this person is quitting products. What is your energy? What are you putting out? What are people feeling about you? Are you just, okay, whatever, I've done my messages, I'm going to go do something else. I'm not paying attention to this today, right? Your IPA sheet has an end to it. That means you stopped working as a CEO. You allowed a distraction to say, this is where my job ends. I'm the employee today. You treat your business like an employee. It will pay you like an employee. All these things are things that I take myself through daily as well, right? And so aligning and realigning my energy and taking action. And I think this just takes a whole lot of self-awareness and being aware of where your energy is going. And if your energy is being taken by distractions, you will end up at the end of the day with no time. And so I was chewing on this a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about what you guys are thinking. But I was chewing on this a little bit and I thought to myself, mindset is such a big deal. But paying attention to the distractions that take away your mindset is probably where you find the cause of why mindset is hard. Getting to the root cause of what is taking you away. What are your distractions, right?
I was thinking of Oh, that it's something that Christina Williams has said, you know, like if you pray to be able to move a mountain, you better whatever,
Be
you're
willing
gonna
to
wake
pick
up
up a
next to a
shovel.
shovel. Yes, yes, that one, right? And so when he was saying, you know, I offer gratitude and then I seek, right? Like I seek it.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to partner with God and say, you know, like, let's do this. But then you like stay home and you're not doing the work. Like there is action in the work. You can't just say, it's fine. Like he's gonna just make me a diamond in a month. Like, no, that is, you need to move your feet and your mouth in this business. Like
Yeah.
it's a networking business. So I love that he gave gratitude and then sought out those people, like sought it out. So it's interesting. I quite loved that part because
You
it's just so
actually,
aha, right? Like it's so nice to say all the fluffy things like you better wake up or you're gonna whatever that mountain shovel analogy, right? And it's nice to say all these like great motivational things. Thanks for that. Um, great motivational things and then not do the work,
you
right?
just took us into that next point where it takes 6 months to see results. And I think that's where we get distracted. We get distracted because we feel like it takes too long. And then we rabbit trail again, right? We lose focus. And then he says, you have to see it and believe it, know it before it actually happens. And you have to have patience. Then it's about doing, the doing, right? And definitely the 90-day rule. Amber has been so loud about this. It's the 90-day rule. And if you've only done 30 days out of those 90 days, that's not 90 days. That's still just 30 days of work, right? You still want to be consistent and do the 90 days of the work. Get that boulder over the hill until you have so many leaders in your business, so many new distributors coming in every month that it doesn't matter what you do. It still always matters, I feel, in Plexus, that the leader still does the work as well. But man, we went a little bit long on that chapter. Make an honest list of the time-consuming activities in your life that don't contribute to your future. This is such a big deal for moms. I feel like this chapter is really giving us an outline to be disciplined in our focus, right? Like it really gives you an awareness of where your distractions are. Commit to 1 year of imbalance. Give up those things and focus strictly on your business. What would happen if you did? What would happen if you did? Let's go into chapter 8, identifying leaders. Takes it to a new level. I love this chapter, and even if you do not have leaders on your team as of yet, this will give you an awareness of what to look for, an awareness of skills and gifts and talents to look for in other people. I was never the top of the class at school, but my classmates must have seen potential in me because my nickname was Einstein, Stephen Hawking's. So someone saw something in him that was already there, right? And they called it out, even if it was through teasing. Not everyone is a leader. Once you're able to identify potential leaders, you can start working with them to develop them into the leaders that they're meant to be. Did you get that? They're not going to show up and be perfect leaders. You get to develop them. You get to pour that into them. Recognize that everybody you sponsor is not going to become a leader. Not everyone is meant to be a leader. The world can't just be full of leaders. There have to be followers too. So not everyone that you sponsor is going to become a leader. And so if you've added like 10 customers and none of them want to share and you're really disappointed and you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? Maybe they're not leadership type of people. Maybe those are the type of people that you are attracting. Maybe you need to level up and change a little bit of how you're putting yourself out there in order to attract leadership type of people. Because we tend, say you are at a level 3 or 4 of leadership, we tend to attract people beneath us. So you're attracting 1s and 2s potentially, right? If you haven't in the last while read The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell, ultimate leadership development book. It's easy to read. You will never look at leadership the same again. It'll just give you such a good vision of what leadership is, right? And so I cannot stress enough that you cannot force someone into something that he is not ready or capable for. So when we're asking people to share and they're like, that's not me, you know, and it's really just dragging people through the sand and not being able to get them to stand on their own, not being able to inspire them. Maybe they are not leadership type of people. Maybe we have to go looking for leaders and potentially offering bigger things and bigger and scarier things than just our products. Our products are amazing. They can help anyone, right? One of the most common situations new leaders ask about me is, how do I get my distributors to the next level? In fact, the majority of distributors are never going to get to the next level, no matter what you do. Because a large part of our business is wholesale customers, right? It's all our VIPs. And that's what makes our business stable, because we don't want to be without those customers. Those customers make up a huge piece of our team. We value and love them. They want to be product users. They can be there. That's all good and fine. But in that 80% of customers, you're going to be plucking out the 20% that are your leaders. You get to have your eyes on each person and say, what does this person bring to the table? Okay. Paige, anything on that?
Sorry, Brenton's making comments in the background. It's like you're leading, and then he's like got extra commentary back here. So I'm just
Maybe it sounds like he should come and lead too.
yes, maybe he should. Oh, and he just closed his door. Okay.
Yeah, quickly.
Yes, right. He could totally. He comes down here often. No, I was just thinking, I was almost gonna actually, I think I want to ask in general. I know we don't have a lot of time yet, but when he gave the list on page 99, like, because I was thinking, well, what does a leader look like? Right. And I want you all to think of the leaders on your teams, right? Whether they're level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, doesn't matter. Oh, I missed 8, 9. When he gives the list, like, they're self-motivated, they're solution-oriented, problem solvers, competitive, usually the busiest in the rest of their lives. They believe in something bigger than themselves. If you think of the leaders on your team, like, what qualities do they have? But sorry, I'm like way ahead of myself here. It's almost like it's going back to that fitness class. You can't, until they're ready, you can't force anyone. You can't force anyone to be a leader. Yes, I think there are leaders within our organizations, and I think pouring into them and sharing their qualities, but until they believe it themselves, you can't drag dead bodies. Like, you can invite and continue to share and love and invite. But until they get to that, maybe a pain point, they won't lead. And so when I was looking at these qualities, I was just thinking, oh, like, who could that be on my team? So I don't know. I mean, you all have leaders on your team. What did you see in them? What did you see in them? Did they come straight out and say, I want to do the business? Like, what did you see in your leaders? Did you invite them? How and why do you consider them? How did they get to be your leader? Do you know what I mean?
And the other piece there is, I'm just going to add a little bit to what you said. The other piece there is, if we find and attract people that are better than us, we're usually intimidated by them. And we're going to be a little bit scared of them because we can feel that they're better than us. Right. And so how are we bringing those people in that are actually better than us? That's what we're looking for, is the higher levels of leadership. In this business, it's interesting. We have to learn to lead, but we also have to see when people are better than us and let them lead. I love the list. I'm just going to back up a little bit, because that numbers piece is such a huge thing of when we get started. When you're first getting started, you don't have 100 people to sift through to find your 3 leaders. So you'll work with anybody who signs up with you. Okay. So this is where we still bring in all the people that want to try Plexus. They're not all going to be leaders. but they're all going to be your customers, or they're going to try product, or they're going to be there temporarily and then gone, right? They all play a piece in you building up to finding those big leaders on your team. So never say that, oh, I'm just looking for business builders, and then leave out the rest of the 80% of the people that you could be bringing in, who will for a time and for a season build your business. And so sometimes when people leave, it's so hard for us to understand of why people are leaving. And I always have said, they were with us for a season. They no longer are. They have made a choice for themselves. We get to go find more. That's the numbers game, right? That from 100 people, probably 5 are going to join you. So just have a little bit of clear perspective on that, that you don't just get discouraged. But back to the traits there of what he talks about, how to know that you have a leader. Leaders are motivated by one of two things, inspiration or desperation. And I think the vibe that that gives off is so very obvious. Like no one has to tell you when someone is desperate.
I love those. Like, I mean, even just reading the words, inspiration, like you can feel that feeling, right? And then desperation, you can totally relate to that too. At least I could, you know, and you do, yeah, you get to that mark, or I don't want to say pain point, because if they're inspired, that's not really a pain point. They're inspired, right? Or maybe it is a pain point of, I want to be there. I'm not there yet. So it's a point. I'll just say it's a point. But it's very interesting because it just makes so much sense. Inspiration or desperation or both. And if it's a mix of both, he says, you know, you've found a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're inspired and they're desperate to be not where they are right now, to make a change.
And that can be a very good ingredient, some desperation and some frustration. I never want to be here again. I'm not sitting here. I am building, I'm getting out of this hole, right? That can be a very good fuel to build. Okay, sifting for leaders. As I sift for potential leaders, I'm looking for these signs in order of importance. And I found that interesting that it was in order of importance, right? Number 1, they are winning challenges. We are in the process of working to go to the Bahamas. It's work. It's hard work. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of thought process of, what do I say next? Who do I talk to next? Who can I bring in? Will this person share, right? There's a lot of work that goes into winning challenges. It's not about the challenge. It's not about the challenge. It's the growth that you pursue in the pursuit of that challenge, because that challenge is going to grow you. And they sign up people right away. Some people come in and they're just like, hey, I just told my mom she's starting to, oh, I want my friend to come with me. They have no hesitations. Bang, they're in, right? The more we focus on making this a big deal, the harder it becomes. The more they second guess themselves. Don't make it a big deal. Make it totally normal. Make it open, right? Those people will bring in people right away. They implement trainings. This is really a good visual of when you bring in new people and they show up for trainings. They take in trainings. They go look for trainings. They understand that it'll take growth and learning in order for them to do what they need to do in order to achieve their goals. Consuming information does not indicate a leader. We often have talked about personal growth gluttons. It's the people that read everything. They're always reading books. They're always doing this study and that study. But the action pieces are not there. It's in the action of where we fail, and the failing has to happen in order to grow. It's the implementation, 100%. And then they are coachable. This is a really, really, really big piece, right? The coachability is me saying, okay, I really didn't want to do that. I really didn't know how to do that. Can you please show me? And I'm going to be humble and learn in a way of where I haven't learned before. To be coachable is not to say, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. To be coachable is to say, I'm going to try to implement to my best. And if you see where I'm messing up, can you please be open and tell me? And you being receiving of changing what you're doing, right? And I remember with different coaches that I've gone through over the years, and being able to say, hey, if you see me doing something that would hinder the growth of my business, would you be open to telling me that? And then being open enough and mature enough to accept constructive growth criticism. And it's hard. It's really hard because it's usually the things that we're avoiding. And that's being coachable, right? And then these people are helping other people. Automatically, it'll be an easy thing to do. They don't hold back. They're not concerned about what other people are going to think. They're just like, hey, this person wants this too. I'm going to help them get 3 as well, right? So they're being motivated on their own. They're not waiting for you to tell them to do everything. These are things that you can look for in every customer that you bring in. Okay, Paige, you want to take that sleeping giant there? We're going to wrap up our...
Yes, you bet. He says, when I refer to a sleeping giant, it's someone within your organization who hasn't taken action yet, but you know intuitively that they have the ability to build a strong business or be your business partner. And I think about this because I was that, like, I was that person. I didn't start my business. It was 6 months. I didn't start my business and I thought, well, we're moving to a completely different whatever, like this, well, let's just do this, right? So anyway, I think those people are still within our organizations, obviously, but we have to continue. That's where like the customer care comes and the relationship building comes, right? And touching base with each of them and still offering them the pie, right? When we get a chance to them, hey, and pouring the good, like the good qualities that you see into them. And if they're ready, they're ready. And if they're not ready, that's okay too. But it's just like that, it's a full circle. Like you keep talking. And I mean, if you really sit back and think, you might think, oh my goodness, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. But really, it's just being a normal human. Like just be a good human. Hey, I was thinking about you today. Just be a good human. And those sleeping giants will see your example and they'll see their potential along the way.
Yeah, reminding, like sometimes you have wholesale customers that have been there for a long time and reminding them that, hey, guess what? I thought of you today. And I often think of what it would look like for you to do this business with me. Do you ever think that? Always go back and replant that seed. It's always still there for them. A sleeping giant wants you to keep connecting with her. Don't depend on her. Go out there in search of other leaders. That's a really big deal. Don't wait for people. Always go looking for more people. Okay, we're going to wrap up today. I know I have another call at 11 as well. Take page 103 if you have a working downline and leaders in your organization, and make 2 lists, your leaders and your potential leaders. Go look for more potential leaders. That's going to grow your organization. That's where duplication comes in. All right, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for participating. Take care.